fourth process element we call accountability, and this word is bandied around. I call most of what's called accountability in the US, I call it unintelligent accountability. So it's holding teachers accountable for things they can't do much about. So we actually penalize teachers for the fact that kids growing up in poverty get worse results than kids who grow up in a rich district. Now, it's become quite fashionable recently to say that poverty shouldn't be an excuse for low achievement, and I agree with that. But it's just simply wrong-headed to assume that teaching kids in poverty is as easy as teaching affluent kids. For one thing, there's more stress, and stress causes a buildup of cortisol in the brains, which slows down synapse formation. So we know that teaching kids who are living in poverty is harder. We know that having a stable home background helps. We know that prior achievement is important. One of the depressing things that Matthew Steinberg and his colleagues have shown is that if you're teaching high-achieving kids, you'll get a higher rating as a teacher. So I don't think those things are very helpful. I think intelligent accountability holds teachers accountable for things they're entirely or mostly responsible for. And I think there are two things that every teacher should be held accountable for. One is getting better, not because you're not good enough, but because you could be even better. And the other is supporting colleagues. So I think a teacher entirely discharges their duty of accountability to taxpayers and other people who fund education by committing to getting better continuously, no matter how good you are, and supporting colleagues in doing the same thing. And so one of the processes we found quite useful is this idea of action planning. Teachers commit to getting better at something. They make their ideas concrete, it creates a record, and it makes teachers accountable. And teachers have told us that the fact that they promised to their colleagues they were going to try something out made a big difference to how seriously they took that commitment. So a good action plan focuses on the things that make a difference to learning. Makes sure that a teacher is focusing on a small number of changes, the idea of small steps. Spells out exactly what they're going to get better at. And is achievable within a reasonable period of time. And perhaps most importantly, identifies what the teacher will do less of or will stop doing entirely. Here's the important idea here. Most American teachers are working as hard as they can right now. Their plates are full. And yet, we're expecting them to get better. And so when I work with school leaders, I say, so what are you going to help teachers stop doing? What are you going to take off their plates so they've got some room for improvement? And they find it very difficult. And here's why. Because they're looking for bad things. And there aren't any in education. And certainly not very many. And this is why education is harder to improve than improvement in the commercial sector, the business world. In the business world, there's almost always waste. And therefore, getting better involves cutting waste. Now, we ought to check. If there are any teachers out there doing things that are deliberately designed to lower student achievement, we need to stop them doing that straight away, and improvement is very rapid. But most teachers don't do that. Most teachers, everything they do helps student learning. So the only way to help teachers get better is to stop teachers doing good things to give them time to do even better things. This was beautifully summarized by management guru Stephen Covey in his story about a man trying to cut through a big log of wood with a blunt saw. And somebody suggests to him, why don't you stop and sharpen the saw? And the man says, I haven't got time. That's exactly what American teachers are like. They are so busy doing what they're doing, they don't have time to get better. And the point is, the thing you need to stop doing is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. I say to teachers, I think you're spending too much time grading. And they say, are you saying grading is no good? No, grading is good. But just think that that hour you spent grading could have been spent in a different way that would have resulted in even more student learning.